because I thought it'll be nice to see you all. So if you guys can turn on your videos, that'd be also amazing. And this way, I guess you get to ask more questions. So that's the plan for today. Let's just wait for a few more people to join in. Hey, Jasmine, good to see you. Hi. I was actually tired of seeing my own face on webinar, so I said, uh let's do a meeting. Hi, Sugeshan. Sujilam. Hi, nice. Who else is that? Fahim, it'll be great if you can let people in, and you guys can use the chat window to ask questions. I will keep that open. I have like you guys can't unmute yourselves so that the meeting disturbance remains minimum. But if you have any question, you can raise your hand and I will be happy to answer that. I'll keep a little bit of time towards the end to answer your questions anyway, right? So let's get started. First of all, thank you so much for joining in on a Saturday morning. I'd love to know, where you're from and your experience as content writers. How many years have you been working as content writers, or what has, if you're a fresher, I'd love to know that also, so we can maybe curate the session a little bit more to that. So please feel free to put your thoughts in the chat window, um, where you're from and how long have you been writing content. It'd be nice to have a more interactive session. Anyone? Oh, Chembur, I stayed there for 2.5 years. I went to college there actually. Okay. Bangalore, you're a freelancer from Chennai. Sikandrabad, Telangana. I stayed there also. Fresher from Tamil Nadu. I have a farm in Tamil Nadu. Madurai, wow, Gwalior. Nice. Fresher from Canada. So it looks like quite a few of you are freshers, and I will try and tailor this more to that then. In case you have any questions on something specific, which you already know as an experienced content writer, then I would, like I said, happy to answer those. Super. So I'm going to share my screen and get started. And Fahim will keep admitting people who are joining in. 1 second. Okay. So what we are talking about today is the Ascend framework. I hope you guys can see my screen. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. No? Okay, at least a few of you can see it. Super. Awesome. Cool. So what I did was I've been now coaching people for over a year on how to become highly paid content writers. And this community has grown to almost 27,000 people, which I think is amazing because there's so many of you looking to make a successful career in content writing. And I feel that I'm privileged to have the chance to coach you through this journey. But when I started talking to people, when I started engaging with these monthly free Q&As that I do through, responses that I get to my emails on a daily basis, I figured that there is a big chunk of people who are good at what they do, but they're still stuck in a very low paying area, right? A lot of people were still getting paid less than 2 rupees a word, which is frankly quite upsetting, given that a lot of higher paying projects are available in the market, and good companies are literally salivating for content writers. And I deal with it every day, you know. So I don't know how many of you know, but I charge almost 40 plus rupees per word when I write for my clients. And the work is overflowing. Like literally every day, I'm looking for people who can take on some work from me. So I found that there is a big discrepancy, right, from what the market wants versus what is available to them. And I started exploring why does that happen. And I interviewed so many content writers. I looked through so many samples, and I figured that there are a few things that are essential for someone to go from being a beginner or a fresher or a low paid content writer to a highly paid content writer. And I've sort of now distilled that down into this framework, which I call Ascend. And that's what I'm going to take you through today. Yeah. So, first thing that, and this is what a lot of people come to me, right? That where is the opportunity? Where are these clients, right? And I don't know if you know of this poem, a very uh, popular poem, which is called The Ancient Mariner, which has this line which says, water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink, right? Which basically talks about that there is, so the sailor is in the sea and you can't drink seawater. So he's surrounded by water, but he's like literally dying of thirst. And that's what is happening, I believe, in content writing, because there are billions of dollars being spent on content marketing activities by companies across the globe, right? And that a major chunk of this money is also going to content creation activities, because you need to have that base of content created for you to, spend in marketing it. And there's a massive, massive volume of content being created every day. I've just put one number here, which is 7 million blogs that are published every day. But if you look at emails or social media posts or other formats like video scripts, etc., or even website content, the number of content assets created every day is literally in billions, right? Now, who is sitting and creating all this content? Yes, there are people and companies who do it themselves, but a lot of companies also want to outsource content creation, right? And that is where people like us come in, who want to, who are willing to provide these services to these companies in exchange of payment. Yeah. So there is obviously a lot of content being generated, a lot of money being spent on it, and yet a majority of content writers are earning less than 2 rupees a word, right? So there is a difference. So I would like to think, if you have done content writing in the past, or if you're a fresher and you start reaching out to clients, why are you not getting paid well, right? Or even if, let's say, put yourself in the shoes of content writers who are not getting paid well, and maybe just drop me a few lines in the chat window on why do you think content writers are not getting paid well? What are they not doing right? Anyone? Come on, come on. Clients don't have the ability to pay more. Okay. Anyone else? Not confident. Anyone else? No. No knowledge of what qualifies as high paying content. Okay. Maybe the writing is not that catchy that will fetch more money. A content writer doesn't know their worth and how to ask for the same. Lack of subject matter knowledge. And there are people who are ready to work at cheaper prices, which is true. But that's a belief I would like to break here for you. Just by giving you an example. So I charge, if I write a social media post, because I hate social media posts. So if I have to write a social media post for a client, which is around 50 to 80 words, I charge 2,750 rupees for it. Okay. And there are my clients who want me to write social media posts for their leaders, whereas there is a big chunk of people available who will write social posts for as little as 100 rupees a post, right? So I'm charging many times more than what these people are. And I also have a team which can possibly work at a cheaper rate. So I always give my clients the option that if you want me to write the post, I will charge 2,750 rupees. If you want my team to write the post, it will be somewhere around 600, 700 rupees that you can get it done from my team itself. But 99% of the time, they go with me. They will pay me that big chunk of money to write a few sentences because they know that the quality I will deliver will be much better than what anyone else can, right? And that I think is a very strong factor. So this belief where that there are people willing to work at cheaper prices, yes, they're all there. But if clients trust you, they have the confidence in your ability, they will pay a lot more to work with you. Yeah. Um, I just wanted to, clarify that right up front. Okay. So yeah, most of you got it right. Here's why people are getting paid less because either they are unable to find the right clients and the right projects, or they don't understand what the clients want, or they lack specialization. Somebody said subject matter knowledge. And especially if you're working in fields like technology, finance, law, etc., you need to have some understanding of how that field works, right? Or you're just another writer in the crowd. You're unable to stand out because you don't get any, you don't bring any value proposition to the table except cost. Yeah. So one, you're not able to stand out. Second, you're also unable to show them what is the value that you bring to the table, right? You're not able to articulate that value proposition very clearly. And someone said, right, Mona said that you don't know your worth and you're not confident enough to ask. And it has happened to me. There are writers who want to work with me, and sometimes when they send me their pricing, I'm like, you know what, you should be charging more than this. There is a case study I'll talk about it later. And I actually had to ask this person to raise their prices because I felt what they're charging for the quality they're delivering is quite less, right? So knowing your worth and being confident enough to ask for that money is also really, really important. And finally, you don't have anyone raving about your work. How do people build trust? They build trust when they know that other people have worked with you and gotten good results out of it. They have had a great relationship working with you, great experience. And when they share those experiences, then other people say, okay, this is a person I can trust and I can work with. So if you don't have those case studies, success stories, it is people will be hesitant to work with you, right? Because ultimately building a business or building a career as a content writer is also a lot about human psychology. Yeah. So do you agree with these points? If you do, then just type yes in the chat window. Yeah. Super. So what we need to do as content writers is to overcome. I can see a lot of yeses coming in, right? So what we need to do is to overcome these blocks, right? These are the factors that are holding you back from earning good money as a content writer. And what we want to do is move away from that. And hopefully in this framework, what I'm talking about, you will get some tips on how you can go ahead and do that. Yeah. But I'm also going to put a disclaimer right here that knowing something and doing it are two different things. Okay. I can tell you what it takes to become a highly paid content writer because I have done it and I've done it multiple times because I started two businesses, both from scratch, and both have been doing fantastically well, right? So I can tell you how it works, but doing it is up to you, right? And that's what happens. Like I have this mentorship program, and people join in, and you can see a big difference between people who are actually applying those principles versus those who are just listening to it and imbibing it. Because, and there was a very interesting story, but I don't want to take a lot of time on that. But it's about uh, knowledge is one thing, but applying that knowledge is something else, right? So I'm hoping that whatever you take away from today's session, you're also going to at least start small and apply that somewhere or the other in the way you are shaping your journey as a content writer. Yeah. Cool. So this is another belief I want to break because it comes back a lot to me because my niche is tech. Okay. I write for tech companies and people sort of feel that because I'm writing for tech, that's a high paying niche. And that's why I get paid the amount I get paid. But I also work in different capacities with individuals, with other industries, and everybody pays me a high price. So I want to very clearly say every niche has high paying opportunities if you know where to look. Just to give you an example, I work for the HR team of an automotive company. That has nothing to do with tech, but they pay me a lot of money to um, write their employee communication because they want to come across as this amazing company to work for. They are willing to spend money to build that communication. Okay. Sometimes, so we have a monthly retainer, which is like 1.2 lakhs or something like that. So they pay me 1.2 lakhs a month. And sometimes I only end up writing 1 or 2 emails in the entire month. Okay. But they know that the emails that come from me are superior to whatever they were doing before, and they trust in my ability to deliver stuff, quality content faster, right? And therefore, they have done this engagement with me and they continue to renew it every few months. Yeah. So that's nothing to do with technique, right? I have written so many books till date for individuals who are not even coming from companies with big pockets, right? They are spending money from their own pocket. They are spiritual coaches, happiness coaches, financial coaches, different folks who are looking to write a book to build their businesses. And as individuals, they have paid me lakhs of rupees every year to help them establish their authority, right? So for me, if I write a 30,000 word book, I charge 4 lakh rupees, right? Plus GST, and my clients pay it. And then beyond the book, also, some of them retain me to continue doing their content, which is writing blogs or emailers or their social media. And they pay me as individuals as much as 70, 80,000 a month because they know that the work that's going to come from Supriya is going to be uh, awesome. Yeah. So I just wanted to very clearly say, don't worry so much about the niche that you're in because every niche has the opportunity or has the potential to pay you money. There are different things that you need to focus on, and I'm going to come to that in a bit. Um, and you to look in the right places, okay? Because every company will have a pyramid of opportunity, okay? All of them create volume content, which is social media, SEO blogs, product descriptions, listing pages, blah, blah, blah. And this is unfortunately where most of the content writers operate in. And this is because the companies are generating it as just to rank in some places or be present. They don't want to spend, they do treat it as a very bottom of the bucket kind of a content and they don't pay much attention to it. As you go up the pyramid, there is mid-tier content, which is their sales collateral, which is somewhat important to them in terms of brochures, flyers, websites, case studies, their annual reports, their ads, their emails, which is actively helping them convert clients or generate leads. And they are willing to pay more for it. And then at the top of the pyramid is the premium content, which is when they're looking to create branding for their leaders, where they're looking to position themselves as experts in that particular domain or particular area, where they want to present a great picture in front of, media, or they want to, do some research and write about it and, get that premium content out in the market. And this is what get paid the most. Okay. So no matter which company you are working for, you have to see what is coming your way, right? And how are they planning to use that content? And that will tell you what is the pricing you should go with. Yeah. So keep this in mind anytime you're looking for clients. Go for the top companies who have the budgets, and then go for the top content which they need to price it well. Yeah. I hope this is clear. Yeah. Let me know in the chat window if it's clear. Yes. Just type yes. Cool. And anyone, anytime you have an aha moment, I call these aha moments, which is like, you know something, but suddenly it just strikes a light bulb in your head and it says, oh, I never thought about it this way. If those aha moments happen, I'd love it if you can put it in the chat window, because I think all of us take away different things from anything that we are attending, anything that we are learning. So the aha moments, I feel, consolidate that learning for everybody in the group. So anytime you feel that you've heard something that you haven't thought about before, please put it in the chat window, and that I would really appreciate that. Cool. So moving on. Yeah. So we talked about the opportunity, which is definitely there. And I don't know why my video went off. 1 second. Yeah. So, but what is it that clients pay for, right? I believe there are three things that are important to all clients. The first is, of course, your expertise in that particular area and the quality of content that you can deliver. They will still be okay if you don't have expertise, but the quality is something that they will not compromise on if they are paying you big money, right? Because what is the point, right? Why are clients looking for content writers? They want to make their life easy. If they have the time and bandwidth to sit and write content themselves, they will not be outsourcing it, right? So they want you to do work that is so good that they don't have to spend too much time reviewing it or asking, giving feedback and doing multiple iterations, right? That happens with um, if you have an expertise in that space and if you can deliver quality work, yeah, which leads to convenience, right? So clients would pay for convenience, that I don't have to spend hours on it. I can just outsource it to someone and they will do a good job and give it back to me, right? And finally, they pay for trust and reliability. So one of the reasons my clients pay me well is also because they know if they've given something to Supriya, it will always come back to them, possibly before the date of delivery, right? I don't wait to extend deadlines. I will finish things on time. And in case there is something happening for which I'm not able to deliver on time, I will let them know upfront. I will not bail out on them last minute and say, I'm sorry, this didn't happen, right? And I'll give you a very recent example. There was this client who wanted me to write articles for their one of their CXOs. They wanted me to write 5 articles, okay? And I charged 30,000 per article. So you can imagine the money that was on the table. And this happened last week when I was very sick. So they had sent me the brief and I had written all the topics and the details, and I had sent them, okay, this is what we can do. And then I fell sick. So when they came back to me and said, okay, these are the 3 topics we would like to work on, I told them immediately, I'm so sorry, I'm really unwell. So I would not be able to do it this week. If you're in a hurry, please give it to someone else, or I will get started on it once I'm back, right? I didn't say, yes, give it to me and somehow I'll finish it, because I don't want to sit and kill myself working. And also I don't want to keep them hanging, right? What if they needed it really quickly, then they have to do it. And I'm not able to deliver on time, that they are stuck on their deliverables, right? Which leaves a very, very bad impression. So you have to, as you work with clients, you have to build trust and reliability with them. And it also happens when you outline what is the value the clients are going to get from it, right? I have told my clients so many times, they've approached me for projects and I said, why are you doing it? Like, what's the point? It doesn't make sense for your business, so don't do this, right? So I've actively said no to money. But what that has done is it has helped build a relationship with my clients where they know that Supriya is not here to leech money off us. She's actually working in collaboration with us to get the best content out in the market, which will aid our business, right? And that reputation is what you should seek to build, because when your clients know that you're a partner, they treat you at a very different level versus when they know that you're just a transactional relationship who're going to write on blog for you and just vanish, right? So these are the 3 things, in my opinion, that clients pay for, and we should strive towards building. So Praveen has a question. how do we provide quality without expertise in the subject? That's a good question, Praveen. Now, this is where I'll deep dive into the niche part of it and the quality part of it later in the framework. But just to give you a quick example, your expertise is in writing content. Okay. So most of the time, clients are coming to you because you can phrase things better. The client is actually the expert, right? So, and this is where the briefing calls become important. So when the client says, okay, write on this topic, you have to ask them, okay, what do you want me to say? What are some of the key things that you need to talk about? What is the unique point of view that you have? And when you start asking those questions, you understand what the client wants to say. And then you research and write a good quality piece, right? And quality of content depends on, of course, how well you've written it from a language standpoint, how well you've written it from a narrative standpoint, the story, have you been able to get the intention right, and all of those factors. And just to give you an example, again, like just 2 days back, a client had a customer council. They had a lot of these clients come together and they spoke about a topic, which is AI, and they recorded the session. And they sent it to me to say, Supriya, can you just make a key takeaway note from this? Now, I don't need the expertise in the subject to make a key takeaway note, right? They just don't have the time to sit and do it themselves. So they send it to me. So that is also an opportunity to just take whatever they're saying and write it well enough. Yeah. So that's how you do the quality part of it. But yes, being in a niche and slowly understanding that and building your expertise in that niche area is also a way to get to the highly paid content writer position, right? So we'll definitely come to that. Cool. So question again, do you agree with this? Do you think these are important points? If yes, then please put it in the chat window. And if you notice, I haven't mentioned cost anywhere, okay? I don't think anyone should compete on cost. This is what you should, align your value proposition to. Again, we will come to that. Yeah. Is there any authorized WhatsApp group of content writers? Fahim, can you share the WhatsApp group link maybe in the chat window? Yeah. Okay, cool. So today we're going to cover three things. Mainly, one is how you assess your skills. Second, how you stand out in a competitive market. And third is how do you identify and capture high-paying opportunities. Yeah. Oh, I love the aha moments. Thank you, people. Keep sharing. We are experts in content writing, whereas clients are experts in niche area. So yeah, nice. Okay. So this is what the Ascend framework is all about. And it talks about various steps to becoming a highly paid content writer. The first is, of course, assessing your skills and the market. Next is strengthening your writing ability, then creating a compelling portfolio, finally engaging with the writing community, negotiating like a pro, and delivering consistent quality results to build trust with your clients. Okay, so I'm going to take them one by one. And like I said, if you have any questions, any thoughts, please feel free to put it in the chat window and I will be happy to answer those. Okay, Abhi has a question. What is the best app for content writing that is genuine and pays well? I don't think there is an app like that. And I'm going to cover how you will find clients later on, and hopefully that'll answer this question. Yeah. Okay. So in the first step of this framework is assessing your skills and market. And I've done a sample exercise for you, and I would like it if you guys can do it for yourself also, right? So a lot of people say if you're, good at writing, if you're a passionate writer, go ahead and build a career in content writing. Yeah. You could be writing a lot, but is there anyone willing to pay for it? And that is what you need to crack first. I cannot tell you how many times people send me poems and their personal blogs as an example of how well they write content. And I'm like, it's no use to me because what I deal with is business content, right? I'm not running a literary magazine here where I will publish your poems and give you 400 rupees for it. That's not the intention at all. So I'm not your client. But people fail to make that distinction between what are they writing and versus who is it that is going to pay them for it. So there are some questions that you should ask yourself before you start reaching out to clients. Is who is your ideal client? Who is this person who will pay you for writing content? Yeah. What are the pain points they're facing, right? What is a challenge that they have, um, that they would that you could help solve for them, right? So for example, what I do is I write for tech clients, and the problem I solve for them is I make tech content very reader friendly. I make it easy for business readers to understand how that tech applies to their business, and then therefore they are willing to engage and can do business with the clients or commission work to me. So what is the pain point or the problem that you're solving is important. And then where are these people looking for content writers? Yeah. So like Abhi asked, what is an app? So there are a lot of people who go to freelancer.com, who go to Upwork, but I typically go to LinkedIn, and I reach out in my network, right? Because if I'm looking for a quality writer, I don't have the time to, and by me, I'm talking about my clients, right? My clients don't have the time to waste to go and look at these forums and say, can we find go through 300 bios and find a good content writer? They will go to someone they know and say, hey, you know what? I'm looking for a content writer. Do you have someone who can recommend, who you can recommend? And that's how the high paying client system works. Okay. You will not find these opportunities on random portals. You will find it on direct connections, right? From people who recommend you, and therefore networking is really important. And I'll come to that also. And then, of course, what is the competitive landscape like, right? So who are the people you are competing with? What are the rates they are offering? What is the quality that they're creating, right? So you have to get to know the general landscape, and sort of benchmark yourself against that. And of course, how much are they willing to invest in content and what type of content they're creating? Yeah. So where is the marketing money going? So typically for large organizations, 5 to 10% of the entire revenue goes into marketing activity, right? And then that is pretty much like another, let's say 20% of it will go in content creation activity. So you know what is the amount that is available with an organization who's looking to create content, and then how much of it can you capture by you know uh pitching to them assets where they spent most of that money. Yeah. So that's an analysis you should do before you start. It may not be extensive, but it'll at least give you an idea. Okay, these are the 5-10 companies I need to approach. Yeah. And that narrows down your business building efforts a lot, right? You're concentrating on a few um a particular niche, a particular industry, and not just running around like headless chickens in all directions, right? Because, and this is what I tell everyone, you don't need hundreds of clients to make a lot of money. Okay. I made over 1.5 crores this year. Okay. Uh, and I have like a total of 6 clients. So it's not that I am chasing every new lead that comes my way. In fact, I actively sometimes say no to work. Just yesterday, someone reached out to me for a project that was worth at least 20 lakhs. It is for a very big retail event that's about to happen, and they wanted me to build the agenda and content around it. But that required me going to their office, and I just don't have the bandwidth for it. So I said no, right? So when you know who you want to work with and where is that money going to come from, you can really just work with a couple of clients and meet your revenue goals. Okay. So I've seen a lot, like everybody's just applying everywhere, which I feel is very counterproductive. And you need to have a system of how you reach out to people. So this is why I stress on it in the beginning. Yeah. I hope that makes sense to someone. Does it make sense to you? If yes, then put it in the chat window. Okay, awesome. I hope all of you can see my screen. Yeah. Cool. So moving on, one, what does the market look like? And then where do you stand in the market? Okay. If you don't have the writing skills, then why are you even here? You know, So that's why you have to also assess it. Unfortunately, I also meet a lot of writers who think they're amazing writers, but then they come into the program and then I start redlining their stuff, and then they realize that they were thinking that they're great at it, but there's a lot that is left to learn, right? So this you don't need to share with anyone, but you can do a very honest assessment yourself of how well do you know the niche that you're writing for, how well are you actually writing, right? Your vocabulary, grammar, tone, style, etc. And you can maybe find an accountability partner who can do this for you, right? Give you honest feedback. Um, and are you making your client's life easy? Do they have reason to trust your capabilities? And can they rely on you to deliver on their expectations? So if you weigh yourself on all these 5 parameters, you sort of get a sense of what is the gap, right, that you need to fill to get clients more invested in you, right? I'll just give you another example. This conversation I was just having yesterday. So I have this client with whom I have a 5.5 lakhs retainer every month. Okay. And when we started that retainer, he said that, some of this work is only for 3 months and then we will relook at it. So yesterday we were having this conversation when they're doing their budget discussions, and I said, you mentioned that you only want this particular work to be done only for 3 months. So the 3 months are now about to be over. Do you want to carry forward, or do you want to stop that work? So he said, I have the budget discussion. I'll let you know. And I just told him that, listen, don't cut costs, increase my scope. Yeah. So when you know that you are doing good work for a client, the confidence automatically comes to tell them, give me more work because I have done all that you asked for. I've delivered everything perfectly. And I have more bandwidth, so give me more work. And then I pitched him some video content, which he felt was very interesting. And hopefully that will also come into my bucket, right? So knowing yourself, knowing the client's appetite gives you the opportunity to sort of say, okay, give me more work, or here's what else I can do for you. And in the same organization, you can upsell your services, right? Instead of just finding a new client is more time consuming. You have to convince them of your value. You have to negotiate with them to begin with. You have to take time to build the trust and relationship. But in an existing client that is already built, and therefore you can ask for more work. So that is also I would recommend that you do, yeah, going forward. Okay. Then, so that was about assessing your skills and market. That's like an honest assessment you have to do for yourself. Once you know where you're missing out on, then it comes, it's all about strengthening your writing ability, because that's what your expertise is, right? We talked about people are coming to you not because you're expert in a particular niche, but because you're a great writer. They want that, right? That creativity, that grasp on the language really shine through in the way you communicate via the written word. So next is building that, right? So here are my points on what I think is required to strengthening your writing ability. Now, a lot of people ask me, what are the books I can read? Okay. There was someone who also recommended I should write a book on content writing, which I think is an absolute waste of everyone's time. You cannot learn to write by reading a book about writing. You can learn to write by reading widely, reading often, reading all sorts of different material that comes your way, because that exposes you to a ton of different ideas, and then you can use those ideas in what you write to make the content more engaging, right? So reading is definitely the way to go, a must have skill skill for writers. And sometimes I find this very strange. A lot of people who join the email course, and I hope all of you have gone through the 30-day email course, which is free. If you haven't, Fahim, can you also put that link to the 30-day email course in the chat window? So a lot of people who come there, they're like, why are you sending, like, why is it a written course? Why can't we have videos? And I'm like, if you can't sit and read a 800-word email, then you're not the right fit for being a content writer. And I'm being very honest, because reading is an essential skill. You cannot be a writer without having the capacity and the inclination to read. Okay. You also need to write daily and experiment with different styles styles and tones. This is again a big problem I have noticed with writers. They write according to their style, but the client doesn't want your style, right? You work with 5 different clients, they will have 5 different voices, 5 different tonalities, 5 different styles, and you have to match it, right? You can't write what you're writing for a tech client in a retail landscape, okay? And trust me, I have written for wines and detergents and fabric softeners and perfumes and soaps and real estate. So and obviously I write on tech and finance and spirituality. So I know all of these different niches, and the language, the tonality, the style that's expected is very different. So if from company to company also they vary. So you need to build in versatility in your writing, okay? Which will come if you take some writing courses and get that guided, journey throughout. And don't just sit through those courses. Take that feedback, ask for that feedback, and then work on it. There's no point in anyone, not just me, anyone giving you feedback and then you just not doing anything about it, right? So take that feedback, work on it, and level up your writing step by step. Definitely practice editing and proofreading. There is nothing more off-putting than a piece of content that comes your way, which is like just spelling errors or grammatical errors everywhere. So definitely work on that. Another important thing is to learn to tell stories. You can tell stories in B2B and B2C context. You don't have to write a whole page of imagine if something happened, but stories are effectively little nuggets which connect audience to your content emotionally, right? So there could be one-liners also, but if you can build that emotional connection with the audience, your content will definitely see high engagement, right? And then there's some obvious things like keep up with industry trends, because if you don't know what's happening in the industry that you're writing for, you really can't build that into your writing, right? And some of you express interest in the WhatsApp group, which is also great because you can share content with other writers and, like I said, find an accountability partner or, get feedback on your work. And another good thing is to engage in writing challenges or prompts, which will then give you those a little push to write daily, right? So these are some of the things that you can do to strengthen your writing ability. And there's also a long list of stuff that are pretty much free resources where you can, if you feel that grammatically or syntax wise, you really need to practice, there are some resources that you can go to practice. And what I'll do here is after this webinar, I will send you this list with the links so you can, practice on these platforms. Yeah. So we have assessed our skills, we have strengthened the writing ability. Now the thing is to create a compelling portfolio and offer. Okay. So I do a separate webinar, which is about building a kick-ass portfolio. If you haven't attended that, I will do it later this month and you can attend that program. But essentially what I cover in that, so what happens is anytime you're reaching out to a client, no matter how established a writer you are, they will first ask for your portfolio, right? Has anybody faced that? If you have, put it in the chat window, please. You reach out to a prospect and you say, I want to work with you. This is what I do. And they say, can I have your samples or your portfolio? Anyone? Yeah. Yeah. I see some of you. I'm assuming others haven't yet reached out to clients. But this is the first thing you're going to face. And what happens if you're not able to send them a portfolio? Okay. What are the clients looking for? They want to assess how well are you able to write. Yeah. What is your writing resonating with what they want to do? Is it appealing to them? Yeah. So they want to, and they of course want to see proof points. Have you worked with someone else? Now, in this particular webinar, the Kick-Ass Portfolio one, I explain all of these in details. That, what are the kind of samples you should share? How do you build testimonials if you're a new writer? But I will not cover that today because, otherwise we wouldn't have enough time to do that. But whether you're a beginner or an experienced content writer, it is very important to have a portfolio. So the client asks, can I see some samples of your work? And you send over the portfolio to them. Yeah. If you leave it for some time, then people will find other folks to work with, right? And I'll give you an example. It happened to me also recently. Um, so I have started a new company which is non-tech focused. And the minute I launched it, I got a lead from somewhere, and someone said we are looking to build a website for our business. And that day was a weekend, and I typically don't work on weekends, unless I'm doing webinar for you folks. So I was out with my son somewhere, and I said, okay, fine, I will send you some samples in some time. Now, I didn't quantify what that sometime was. And on Monday, I sent them some samples, right? Um, and they liked the samples and they asked for a cost. Now, because the cost was coming from a partner because they wanted content design and development, and I don't do development in-house. So I had to wait for that partner to send me dev cost, which came a day later. And I sent it, like I pinged them to say, hey, can we just quickly discuss the cost? They said, I'm sorry, we were in a rush, so we have already given the work to someone else, right? So if you don't have things together, uh, and it could happen to anyone, right? Like for me, it happened because I didn't have those dev costs really planned out. And so I got delayed and the project went to someone else. So that is what happens because people have their own deadlines, right? If they want an article in 5 days and you are taking 5 days to send them a sample, it's just never going to work out. Yeah. So keep a portfolio ready to send out. And in that portfolio, include a cover letter or a message that outlines your value proposition, which simply says, hey, you know what, this is what I can do for you. Instead of harping on a lot of different things, it should be very clear and crisp that what is the advantage they will get by working with you. Second is, of course, samples of your work that show your versatility as a writer. Please do not send poetry, personal blog entries, or anything of that sort. Send what is contextual to them. Also, a small bio that sort of establishes your expertise as a content writer, that why should they work with you? And then emphasize that with testimonials and social proof, right? That, okay, this person worked with me, and here's what they had to say. Or I did, this email campaign for someone and I was able to improve their open rates by 2x. So whatever that is, some testimonials need to go in. And I know some of you are thinking, but I don't have any work done or whatever. So wait for that webinar and I'll explain all of that there. And obviously your contact details, right? So if you don't have a portfolio, start building it today. This is like super important. I cannot stress how important this is. And then finally, it is about crafting your offer. And I keep telling all the people who join this content collective that don't price per word. Okay. That is a ridiculous way to price your value. Yes, it's a good comparison when it comes to how much other people are charging. But if you get into comparatives, that is setting the stage for haggling. Okay. And this is my favorite example to give. And it stems from my mother, okay? Because uh, she's from that generation where they'll go to this vegetable vendor on the roadside or the Sunday market where all these vegetable vendors are there. And she will haggle for 10 rupees, sometimes even 2 rupees. Okay. That give me this tomatoes for 2 rupees lesser or 10 rupees lesser. And they will haggle till the poor vendor says, Achha, madam, take it. Right? That same thing is with content writers. The minute we start saying, oh, I charge 1 rupee per word, oh, but the other person is charging 80 paisa, right? What are you doing that's so awesome that is, you're charging 20 paisa more? Those are the conversations you don't want to get into. Yeah, agree? If you agree, put a yes in the chat window. Yeah. Yes, I see some very strong yeses, right? We don't want to haggle. We want to say, I'm bringing this value to the table. Pay me for the value. Don't like there's no comparison to the value that I bring to the table. And I say that to all my clients also. Like sometimes they'll say, Supriya, but I have another vendor who's charging this much. And I'm like, do you want to work with them and do 20 iterations, or do you want to work with me and get it done, get it cleared in one go? And again, 90% of the time, they will say they will work with me. The 10% is when they actually don't have the money to pay, which is fine, right? And I'll tell you an interesting story that happened to me recently. This company came to me again through a referral. They wanted to do some case studies. I charged 20,000 per case study. So I wrote it, I sent it to them. We had very clear discussion on costing. And they loved the case study. It got approved without any changes whatsoever. Then they came back and they said, we want to do 5 more case studies, but we can't pay you 20,000 per case. We will pay you 10,000 per case. Okay. Now that 10,000 for writing 500 words is not so bad, right? It's a fairly decent price. It's coming up to 20 rupees a word, but it is not the price I charge. So because my time is worth more. So I said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I will have to, like, best I can do maybe is 16K, but less than that doesn't make any business sense for me. So they said, okay, fine, we can't take it forward because we don't have the budgets. Very understandable. Now I could have just let them be, but I said, I know that you need the work done. I know you don't have the content resources. And if I can't do it, I'll connect you to some people. So I connected them to some people in my 8-week program, and they gave the assignment to one of those folks. And I told the 8-week people that their budget is 10K, right? Because they came to me and they said, we will pay you 10K for it. Finally, the person who got it, they agreed to pay her 4,500 per case. Yeah. Which is still around 9-10 rupees a word. Okay. Uh, Given that she was charging 1 or 2 rupees before the program, this was a massive jump. So she wrote the case, she sent it to them, and then they sent her the case I had written and said, do it this way. Okay. So people definitely want the value. People understand the value and they're willing to pay for it. Sometimes they may not have the budget for it, which is okay, right? And then it is up to you how much you want to negotiate down. Yeah. So this girl knew that they have the budget of 10K, but what she could negotiate was only 4.5. And why 4.5? Because she did not have the portfolio to support the idea that yes, she could do a good job of it. So all these factors make a difference in how much money are you able to get. And they have paid me 20K for the first case study, right? So how you craft your offer is also very important. How you define your services is very important. How you sort of create a package that might work for your clients, like these retainers I do, and I tell them, okay, this is what we're going to do, and how you price it. So there is no one price for anyone. Pricing depends on your sense of what is the client's ability to pay, what is your minimum benchmark that you are not willing to go down against, what is other people in the market charging, and how difficult that project is. So what I would recommend to you today is get away from the per word pricing mindset and shift to a value mindset, and make costings for projects. That if I do a blog project, which could be somewhere between 500-600 words, so you can give a sort of a range, but don't haggle for, okay, I've written 5 extra words, so pay me, I don't know, 5 rupees more. So don't get into that. We don't want to come across as vegetable vendors on the roadside. We want to come across as a food hall where people would easily pay 900 bucks for a tiny bottle of vanilla essence and not bat an eyelid, right? So that is only going to happen if you get that mindset shift in the way how you create your offers and price them and present them. Yeah, make sense? I want to see some yeses in the chat window. Yeah, cool. Super. So we have said, okay, these are my skills. These are the people willing to pay for my skills. Here's the gap in my skills. Here's what I want to need to up level. And this is how I showcase my skills, right? Through my portfolio and my offer. Now, the next thing is to engage with a network. Okay. And this is, I would say, the only way to get high paid projects is through networks. Because, and I'll give you an example. Let's say jewelry. Yeah. There are all these Carrot Lane and whatnot online jewelry platforms. People might go and see stuff there, but if they want to buy a solitaire, they will still go to a shop, right? Or they will go to a trusted jeweler because they know they're not going to cheat them, right? They might buy lower cost products from these jewelry platforms that, okay, there's a 3,000 rupee earring or a 5,000 rupee earring for the convenience of it, they might buy it. But the bigger investments that they're making in jewelry happen through going to the shop, talking to, like, figuring out or getting recommendations from other people, that where do you buy your jewelry? I'm looking to buy something. Where can I go buy that? Right. So the similar thing is in content. For the low cost content, people might put up on a Fiverr or, all of these platforms. But for the really premium pieces of content, they want to go by referrals, right? Because what happens in a referral? Today, if I tell you, hey, you know what, I went to this restaurant and they have this amazing food, right? You would be more willing to try it rather than just saying, okay, I'll pick some random restaurant and go there. Yes, if you're a foodie or an experimenter, yes. But if you don't have the time and you just really want to have a good experience without the hassle of, figuring out where to go, you will take my recommendation because you trust me, right? So that's how highly paid content also works. People work by referrals. That, okay, today Supriya has done great work for me. If I refer her to someone, they are more inclined to work with Supriya. And that's how my entire business has been built. I have never sent a cold email in my life. I have never done a cold call. I have never just reached out to people and say, can you give me work? Okay. I've always first reached out to people I know, then reached out to people they know, and then just the word spreads. And now I get random recommendations from everywhere, right? So find time to build a network, because that's the best investment you can do in your career. No matter what you want to do, right? Whether you want to be a content writer or anything else, you need a network. Yeah. So first thing, like I said, is to start with your circle of influence, right? Which is, all of us have some people we know, right? And if you say, I don't have a network, then start building one today. So the circle of influence, how I define it, is the people you know and the people they know. Okay. So these are your friends, your family, your old colleagues, the alumni of any school, college that you have worked with, studied in, or colleagues from old, jobs or whatever that you held. So who do you know through that, right? Start talking to them about what you're doing, right? And ask them for, who do they know who might need these services, right? So I'll give you another example. When I first started my first company, which today is a millions of dollars strong company, and they have some 200 people, though I stepped out when we were around 40, 50 people. But when I started that company, we reached out, we didn't do any marketing, right? We reached out to people we knew from the time that we had spent in the corporate world, right? And we said, hey, you know what? We are starting this agency. Please give us some work. Very straightforward. Give us some work. And because they knew us and they loved us and they knew we could do a good job of it, they sent us work. Okay. In the first year of that business, me and three of my partners with two employees, so five people total, we made a crore. And this is many years ago, without any sort of marketing or anything. We just told people we knew, give us work. Yeah. So, and when I quit that company also, I started from scratch. Now, what happened was, when I started from scratch, they told me I had to sign a non-compete agreement that said I cannot work with any of the clients that they had for the next 2 years. Okay. Which means all the people I knew were off limits, right? Because we had already worked with them in my previous company. So what do you do? So I asked those people, hey, do you know anyone who'd be willing to give me work, right? And that's where all these random things came in, right? The perfumes and the detergents and the real estate. And when the real estate came in, I had no experience in real estate. I've never even bought a house. Like, I'm not a house buyer. So I didn't know anything about real estate. And they said, can you give us a sample? I said, I don't have one, but I can do one for free. And then they paid me like 3,000 per blog that time, like a 700-word blog. And I did some 25 blogs for them. So which was pretty decent to get started off again, right? So I have built two businesses from scratch in this space, and scaled them up pretty well, only through the power of my network. Zero cold calls, zero going on these random platforms to pitch my services, only through a network. And I'm an introvert, okay? I hate talking to people. It drains me out. But my approach to building a network is to give value. I tell people how their businesses can do better through the power of content. What can I support them with? And ultimately, it results in some sort of benefit for me as well, right? So, anyway, that's another how do you build a network kind of a call. But yeah, start with your circle of influence. Also, LinkedIn is a great platform. So build a good profile, start connecting with prospects, etc. Attend events that your prospects are attending so that you can have an opportunity to chat with them. Ask people that you're already working with for referrals. And like I said, don't sell. Nobody likes these messages. And I get so many of them in my inbox. We will, up your LinkedIn reach by 3x, or we'll grow your social portfolio. No, don't sell. First, offer value, right? Um, and this also happened very recently. I'm writing a book actually, and I was interviewing this lady for it. She runs a very big community of around 5 lakh women, and Navya Nanda, Amitabh Bachchan's granddaughter, is one of the co-founders. So I was talking to her, and we were just like, she was explaining to me what they do, what their business is, how they're supporting women. And there was one track that they run, which is Not Alone, which was helping women who lost their partners in the COVID tragedy, and how to help them become financially independent. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but I lost my husband to an accident many years ago. And that was a very devastating period of my life. So when she told me about that track, I said, I want to volunteer, right? I want to help these women become financially independent. And I'm happy to volunteer and mentor them and tell them what they can do to, take those steps, because I am financially independent. I've learned how to do it, so I'm happy to pass on that knowledge. So I gave first, right? Without any, and this was not even a financial discussion, right? We were talking about my book, and this just happened. And then she saw the opportunity and she said, you know what? How about we do it this way? And she said, we will compensate you because, we are getting paid for it. So we don't want you to work for free, but we'll compensate you, and this is what we can do. So out of nowhere, now I have work coming my way just because I offered to give first, right? So, and it has been my experience that if you give value, somehow, somewhere that comes back to you in the form of monetary compensation, some sort of value to you, right? So when you're trying to build a network, keep that in mind. Agree? Anyone? Thank you, Preeti. If you agree, put a yes in the chat window. And I want to see some more aha moments, okay? Yes, power of reciprocity. Cool. Okay. So now we are almost on the final 2 legs of the framework, which is you found those clients, you've sent them your portfolio, you've told them your price, and now they, of course, want to negotiate, right? So, and this is where, like I said, the girl who knew that they were willing to pay 10K but ended up only asking for 4.5 is because often we don't know our worth and we don't know how to ask for it, because a lot of us have really strange beliefs about money. We are afraid to ask for what is really our due because we're like, other people will think of us as selfish or greedy or too much oriented towards money. And trust me, like, I'm a Marwari, I love money. Okay. So you have to be confident in saying, this is what I am worth, and therefore, I'm entitled to it. Yeah. But I understand it's a difficult conversation for many, and there are some things that you can do, and you have to leave a bit of flexibility, right? So you need to, so these are some tips that might help you negotiate better, right? First is, of course, create a rate card. You have no idea how many times it happens that I ask people how much are you going to charge for this? And they don't know. Like, if you don't know how much you're going to charge, like, what am I can't pick a number out of the blue and say, this is what I'm going to pay you. So you need to create a rate card for your services. And there is an email in the 30-day email course, which will sort of tell you what is the minimum viable value of your time and all that. I think it's day 7. I don't remember, but it's there. So please go over that email and build a rate card. Okay. Second thing is find rich clients. Okay. Like I said, there are some companies genuinely who don't have the money. So find companies who have the budget to afford premium content writers. I mean, you can't, and again, there's an analogy, right? You go to a bunch of villagers and you give them a Kohinoor, they might want it, but they don't have the money to take it, right? Buy it from you. So you have to, and there's also a very interesting story that does rounds on social media. I'm sure you must have heard of it, which is about how this father tells his daughter he has a very old car to go sell it at a local auto shop. And those guys say that I'll pay you $100 for it. Then he says, go to some automobile club and try and selling it there. So they say, we'll pay you $1,000 for it. Then he says, take it to this vintage appreciation society and ask them how much they'll pay. And they said, we'll pay you $1 million for it, right? So the worth of your worth, the car is the same, right? But it is also depending on how much people appreciate it and how much do they have the capacity to pay for it. Yeah. So a vintage car person is more likely to pay for that because they know that it is valuable versus an old car salesman who will just maybe sell it for parts. Yeah. So go back to that pyramid that I talked about, right? Low volume, mid tier, and premium content, and figure out where you want to be and find those companies who are willing to pay for that value, right? Always keep some buffer for negotiation because clients will negotiate. If they don't, their purchase officers will negotiate. So add that 10-20% cushion to it. So, you can be gracious and say, fine, I'll give you a 10% discount. The other thing is also to not think of it like a win-lose game, right? It's not that everything, if you agree to everything the client is saying, you're losing. You might be setting up base for a bigger, like a longer relationship, right? So every benefit is not always monetary. The clients may refer you in some places. They could just give you a testimonial, right, in exchange of something. And those are also value add for overall building of your business. So think how, other than monetary benefits, what are you getting from this client? And just to give you another example. So I speak at different companies, okay? And for 1 hour of talking, I charge $50,000. Okay, so that's the value you are getting today. But did I get that overnight? No. I spoke at a lot of different companies for free, okay? For them to give me testimonials and for me to be able to use their logo in my presentations, right? So I spoke for Adobe, I spoke for Schneider Electric, I spoke for GE. And these big logos now that I have in my pitch deck, companies know that if these companies allowed me to speak to their audience, I have something valuable to say. And therefore, now they are willing to pay me money to do these speaking engagements, right? So think of beyond monetary value also, how you can benefit from an engagement, right? Also, be a bit empathetic, understand where the client is coming from, and sort of make the offer a bit lucrative for them to sell internally, because the person who's engaging with you often doesn't have the final decision making power. They have to get approvals from other people. So if you can make the offer lucrative, they would be able to sell it better internally. And of course, finally, sometimes just a project is not worth it and you have to say no, right? Like this one that I talked about, where I was supposed to go to the office 3 days a week and I didn't want to, right? So I said no. So those are your own boundaries, your own, uh, you know, limits that you're going to set, but start thinking about those a little bit. Yeah. And finally, you don't want to let go of a client, right? Like I said, finding a new client is much more difficult than retaining an existing one. And to retain them, you have to deliver consistent quality and results, which is effectively about, building credibility, building trust to keep clients coming back for more, right? And that happens when you do these 4 things. When you deliver consistent quality, which is meeting and exceeding client expectations, when you deliver flawless work, when you keep the communication transparent and timely, right? Like I told the client that I'm sorry, I'm sick, I won't be able to do it. So you let them know if there is a problem and work together with the client to solve it. instead of leaving them in the lurch. Like, so that happened to me. I had taken on a book project for a client, and I had a writer who said he will work with me on it. I was paying him 1 lakh rupees to partner with me in that project. He did calls for 2 months. He took the entire download from the client, and he was pretty good. So I wasn't paying that much attention because I was writing another book at that time. And when it came to actually starting to write the book, the guy vanished, like into thin air. Couldn't track him, couldn't trace him, didn't get any response from him. So, which means I had to go over those entire 2 months of conversations in a matter of like 3 days and start writing the book from scratch. And I finished it on time when my client deliverable was due, but it put such immense strain on my bandwidth. So he came back to me 6 months later and said, "Hey, what's up?" And, I had some issues and I wasn't able to do the project, but I didn't give him any more work. And before that, he was consistently billing me at least 80 to 1 lakh, like 80,000 to 1 lakh rupees a month. But he left me in the lurch, so I wouldn't go back because now I don't know when he's going to vanish again and when that, I would have to strain my bandwidth. So you have to make sure that if he had told me that there is a problem, then we could have worked around it, right? But if you don't communicate well, they don't have the time to really engage with you and keep up with idiosyncrasies that we might have. So communication is really, really important. You also have to be professional in your interactions. It's good to be friendly, but it's not good to cross lines, right? And works both sides. Um, and finally, like, take ownership and accountability for the delivery of a project, not just, okay, I've done my bit, I don't care anymore, but is it meeting the goals that client needed it to meet, right? So if you do these things, clients will trust you and will continue to work with you for a longer period of time. All of my clients at least are 6 to 7 years old with me since I started my own personal thing. So um, they don't even think about going to someone else now, right? So that is the kind of relationship hopefully you should be able to build if you do these things consistently, right? So ultimately, just I'm summing it up here. And after this, if your guys are okay, I'm going to talk to you a bit about my 8-week program. And then I will open the floor to questions. So you can ask me any questions that you have, right? So to sum up, you need to do these 5 things to enter the highly paid club. First is to, of course, be better than the best. Upgrade your skills and expertise every day because quality matters. Nobody wants to pay for bad quality stuff, right? So this is a non-negotiable. Now, how you do that is up to you. Second is find the right clients, right? Those who appreciate these skills that you have built and who have the budgets to pay for the quality work. And finally, pitch for the right projects. Don't stay in the SEO blog arena. Focus on premium content. And when you up level your skills, those are the kind of projects you would be able to get, right? Finally, last 2 things is showcase your worth with a kick-ass portfolio and a strong value proposition, and then get in the right mindset for success, which I think is really, really important. Work with a few clients, focus on quality over quantity, and go into this business with extreme accountability and confidence, right? So that's basically my thoughts on how do you enter a highly paid club. This is what I have done step by step, exactly this way, to earn this 1.5 crores that I do every year, right? So if it's okay with you guys, I will share the 8-week intensive program I do for mentoring. Just let me know if you want to know about it in the chat. And I'll tell you some stories of people who are doing exceptionally well. Cool. One person. Rest of you can then. Okay. Awesome. So what is the objective of this 8-week intensive and why I have started it? Because I want to create a tribe of highly paid content writers. As you know, I get a lot of work and I'm always looking for people to work for me. Of course, they have to build their skills. And I noticed that while a lot of clients felt that, a lot of writers felt that they're great writers, they confuse content writing with language skills. Okay. So content writing is not about stringing words together. It is about communicating the intent of the written piece. And I felt a lot of writers missed that. And that's why the 8-week intensive was born, to tell people what do clients want from you and how do you deliver that. Yeah. And till date, I've had over 100 people who've joined. So I want to share some stories. These are available on YouTube. So Fahim, if you don't mind, and you can share the YouTube link with people, you can go watch their stories. So Sai is one of the first few people who joined in the second batch of this cohort. And today she consistently, and she came from a zero background. She had never written content for anyone before. So she came from a background, absolutely no income as a content writer, to today where she consistently bills me 1 lakh plus per month. Okay, that is the money I pay her every month. I'm sure she has other clients who are also paying her, right? So she has gone from zero income to easily 7-figure income and if you listen to her video, she says that it has given her the flexibility to work on her own terms, and that's the biggest benefit she has got from it, because now she has financial independence and also she has a small daughter, so the time to spend with her kid, right? Another great story is Vijay, who's actually the principal of a PU college. But he was a very avid blogger. He had some 300 blogs that he had written, but he didn't know how to monetize them. So he joined the program, again, writing a lot, but not making any money from it. And today, other than his full-time job, he makes 50,000 a month plus, as a side hustle, writing content. Dhanya is another good story. You should definitely watch this. So she was writing content before she came to the program, and she was getting paid 50 to 80 paisa a word, okay, which is insanely low. And she came in and I shared a project and she pitched for it. I liked the sample she had shared. And that project has paid her 1.2 lakhs plus only now, because it has extended and she's getting paid more on that terms. But she's earned that money and this was within 2-3 weeks of joining the batch, right? So there is a lot of opportunity, but these are not the only people. There are a lot of other folks also. Fahim is there, who's working with me full time now. Orlin is there, who's working with me full time now. There have been Sumana and Dina, again, their stories are somewhere either in the emails or the YouTube channel, who are working as editors. There's a great story of Vinay, who's a vernacular content writer who doubled his salary from, just following a few principles in the course. And, there's Shubhangi, Seema, Romal, Neeraj, Mahesh. There's like a long list of people. Um, and you can always reach out to them and talk to them about what the course offers. But how does the program help them, right? I've divided it into 8 modules. Over half of it focuses on how do you become better content writers, and the latter half also focuses on how do you find the right clients and the nitty-gritties of setting up a business as a content writer. So first we talk about goal setting. How do you set the right goals and where do you want to go? And some people think this is a useless exercise, but trust me, this is very important, because unless you know what you want to do, you will run around trying to do 20 different things and not get anywhere. If you know what you want to do and set up an actionable plan for it, then it just becomes so much easier to achieve it, right? So we will do goal setting. And then after that, we'll try and understand what are the challenges that writing presents, right? Why is it so difficult to become a good content writer, and how do you overcome those challenges? Then we'll sort of dive into um, understanding the intent behind a communication piece, because these companies are not writing content for the sake of content writing. They're writing it to help their audience do something, right? Buy something, think about something, leave a comment, whatever that is. So what's the intention? And how do you ask the right questions to your clients to get that intention very clarified in terms of writing that, right? Then we get into the fundamentals of writing, which is how do you structure a content piece, what's the real estate of it, and so on and so forth. Then we talk about 2 very important things, which is research and storytelling, which are really, really important to make a strong writing piece. We also then explore some content formats, so like how you write emails and video content and blogs and those kind of things. And then we get into how do you create a portfolio? How do you find clients, acquire clients? What is the kind of pricing you should set yourself up for? There are document templates available for you to invoice your clients, to create contracts, to, have an NDA in place. And we also touch upon some ethics for a writer, which is about all this accountability and, things like that. So that's how the program is structured. Uh, and this is what you will get in 8 weeks, which is 18 recorded sessions, 4 live calls with me specific to your batch. But there's no limit to these calls. So I do these calls every 15 days, and everyone who's joined the 8-week program can attend these calls, right? So essentially, at least for a year, right? So if you join the course, you get 4 calls for your batch, but total you get 24 calls with me to answer any question that you might have. And if you have done some work, right? If you want feedback on any particular article, you can show that to me on the call and I will give you feedback as well, which is what I've, understood that a lot of people really appreciate. So I'm happy to do that. Then I figured that 4 calls with me was probably not enough for people. So I also have program mentors who have successfully done this program themselves and gone on to build 7-figure incomes from it. So they come from a place which you guys are in currently, and they've learned through the program and made really good money from it. So those are the people who will take you through the nitty-gritty step by step of the program with 2 calls every week, right? So you get 16 calls in addition to the 24 calls over the year with me. You also get 16 calls with the program mentors. You also get 40 to 60 hours of call recordings from previous cohorts. So every cohort has their own unique questions. So you can go over them and understand them at your own pace. You get guides, worksheets, you get access to this exclusive WhatsApp group, which is where I share opportunities. You also get preference for writing opportunities. But I have to be very honest here, it doesn't mean a guarantee. Okay. The process is very democratized. If I have an opportunity to spare, which I can't do in-house, I put it on the group. I ask people for their samples and their quotes. And depending on who's sending me what, I pick the best sample and the best price point, and they get the project. Okay. So I'm being like, there's no internship or anything that's happening. If you level up, if you do good work, there's a lot of work to be done. But if you don't apply the concepts and you're exactly where you started, then I'm not promising everything. You of course get a lot of practice assignments and mentor feedback on your assignments. Yeah. So the next batch is starting on 8th April. You have to apply for it. And this is the link. So Fahim, can you also share the link in chat? Yeah. Okay, so now I'm open to questions both on the course and on the what we discussed, the framework today. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. If you want to talk about your question, I'll unmute you. Raise your hands, I'll unmute you and you can talk to me about it. Okay, Raghu, you filled the form, but you did not get a response. This is actually very strange because I thought we reached out to everyone who applied there. In case you haven't got a response, Fahim, can you make it a point to speak to Raghu after this? Cool. So questions. Either put them in the chat window or you can raise your hands. Anything that you need to know about the program logistics, the timings, the fee, anything else, please ask Fahim. That would be the best use of everyone's time. I want to answer conceptual questions to help you sort of get those concepts clarified. The logistics I will leave to Fahim. Fahim, can you also share your phone number and your email ID? Okay. For this one, do you have a question? You can unmute yourself. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, my question is like, let's say I am creating a blog. Let's say weekly 10 blog I'm creating. When can I link that blog to Google AdSense? Any idea that you have generated revenue through Google AdSense? How does it work? Basically, like if you have real-time experience, I did not see any person like in my life so far. That is the reason I'm asking that.
So, okay, again, very honestly, this is a digital marketing question, and that's not my field of expertise. Because so this is something that Digital Deepak would be able to answer better. I don't think there's a specific number of blogs though. You can connect your account anytime, but depending on how much traffic is coming to your blog, the payments start based on that. But that's the extent of what I know about it. So I'm sorry,
Okay.
wouldn't be able to answer this.
One more query, like now, if I take the content in ChatGPT or some other AI tools, will it affected with plagiarisms like Google? Will it crawl in website or it doesn't crawl?
So, if you pick up content from ChatGPT, it will not be tagged as plagiarism, but it will be flagged as AI content. So you can't copy paste from it, especially for your clients, but you can use the help of ChatGPT or other AI engines. I actually did a video on it. Fahim, if you can find it on YouTube, can you also share that? On how you can effectively use AI as a content writer. So you'll have to take what ChatGPT has generated, but you have to personalize it at your end, right? Change the sentences, add more stories, structure it a little bit better, add more details. So you have to do that for it to be relevant. See, because if, and I know you're probably talking about your blog, but people also want to see that personal effort, right? So I would recommend that. And let me actually check if I can find that video for you right now. I also sent it an email, but in case you missed that email, I will.
And show me some. You are telling like most of the content I used to say blog, storytelling. Like I want to see anyone.
I didn't answer. You want to see your?
No, I want to see like with the content which you have made. Like you said, most like it will be more focused on story kind of thing. If you write like that, people will watch. Like that, any sample content I want to see from you.
Have you seen my email 30-day emails?
No, no, no.
Okay, so Fahim, I shared the link. Fahim, can you also share the link again? There are 30 emails in that list. All of them are what I would say are storytelling. So you can go over them anytime. Yeah. And let me also share some of my bylines a very long time ago. Actually, they are available on LinkedIn. Let me share my LinkedIn profile and you can read stuff which is written there. 1 second.
Where is that email story which you have told? Link YouTube I got.
Fahim, can you also share the 30-day email course link, please? That's a free course, so you just have to give your email so the emails start coming in your inbox. I'm also sharing a link to my World Economic Forum bylines. These are also what I would call a story. Okay. Okay, Kaushik is asking, I understand LinkedIn profile is essential, but must I duplicate the same profile on Facebook? No. Like, I don't think people are looking for business on Facebook. You should just do LinkedIn and that should be enough. How much time should one ask for to research and write a 2,000-word article on an absolutely new topic? Um, Again, that depends from client to client, but typically in my standard rate card, I also write my timelines. So for a 2,000-word article, I would ask for at least 8 to 10 days. But usually clients would want it within a week, so I would consider 5 working days. But yeah, it's okay to ask for 8 to 10 working days to do 2,000 words. What if I can't write English well? Would I get opportunities in mother tongue? Yes, there's a lot of big scope for writers in vernacular. And this Vinay's example that I was sharing, he is a vernacular writer. and he was working with a publication. And then because he was able to apply some of the principles we talked about in the 8-week program, they doubled his salary, right? So there is definitely scope in vernacular. A lot of people are also looking for translation. Um, and a lot of these new apps are coming up which are targeted to vernacular audience. So they are also looking for content on social, emails, websites, etc. So yes, there is scope. Do we need to master other skills like SEO to charge premium rates? I don't know SEO, but I would say I'm charging premium rates. Um, it is you don't need to build, and this is another important point. Okay, you don't need to build every skill yourself. Okay, and that's the brilliant part about working in a collaborative ecosystem. Okay. So I gave you an example of how this client, they signed up 50 videos with me, 50 videos at 30,000 per video. So that's around 18 lakhs. I don't know anything about videos, right? But I have a partner, like a business partner, not necessarily like a formal agreement kind of a thing, but someone I know who does great videos. So I worked with them and I said, what are you going to charge me for it? I added my markup on top of that and build that to the client. Now it is, they are probably going to charge me whatever, 15, 20K per video. And then I have a little bit of script writing, which is 5 lines of script that I have to write for a 30-second video. And that operation runs by itself, right? So if I start thinking, oh, I need to learn how to make videos, I'm never going to get anywhere, right? So you may not, if you want to be content writers only, I would say focus on building that skill, right? You can have partners for other skills. And essentially what is important in SEO, you need to incorporate those keywords into the content that you're given as content writers, right? So for my clients, I ask them, if there are keywords you give me, I will include them in the whatever I'm writing. I don't have the in-house capability to search those keywords and tell you what you should do, right? If you want me to do that, I have a SEO agency partner who can help you with that. And then they will give me the keyword and I'll write. So I am very, very focused on, like, from my capability standpoint, it's only writing and I'm the best at it, right? But when my clients want other things to be done, like for example, some of them, if I'm writing their website content, they're like, Supriya, you only do the design dev. Now, I don't have the in-house capability for that. So I have another partner who does website design and development, and then I pass on that work to them and with my added sales commission on it, right? So you have to look at capability this way. Do you have to learn everything yourself? No. But can you do a lot of work? Yes, if you build the right partner ecosystem, sure. But that's the difference between going from a freelance content writer to sort of building an agency model. Okay. Anyone else, any questions? Best app for content writing for beginners. I don't understand this question. Do you want the best app um to practice your writing or to find work? If it is to find work, then it is LinkedIn. If you want to practice your writing, I will share the links that I had mentioned earlier in the presentation. Do you suggest other AI for grammar other than Grammarly? I use a premium subscription for Grammarly, which I think is very good. But some people also use Hemingway and Quillbot, and they've got good results. So you can use either of those. How can I start as a content writer once I'm confident as a writer? There is another video on my YouTube channel which talks about this. Something about 3 things to get started. So I would request you go there and watch that video because that details out step by step how do you get started as a content writer, which I would not be able to cover like immediately here. Maybe one last question because I know it's a weekend and we're a little over time. Do we need a personal website or blog to display a portfolio? No, I still don't have a website for my work. Either I direct people to my LinkedIn or I send them a attachment to my portfolio in email. So you don't need it. If you want to do it, great. But I will caution you that people judge books by their cover. So if your website comes across as less than professional, you will leave a bad impression. So how you showcase your work also matters. So if you are investing in a website, then please make it like awesome. Otherwise, just send links to a WordPress blog or something, or anything that's been published outside, or even attachments into the email that we're sending samples through. Can a portfolio be just a PDF or Google Docs? Yes, that's how I send my portfolio. I send a PDF of a presentation that I've made. When you see the Kick-Ass portfolio webinar, I show you my portfolio there, so you can attend that webinar and see that. What if I already have a LinkedIn account? How do I add my freelance work on it? There is a featured section on LinkedIn, so you can add PDF files to that. What is my ultimate tip to write fluently? It is research. So how I write, my writing process is I spend one day on research, not the whole day, but I set aside a time and say, today I'm only going to research about this topic. And I create a repository of all that I have researched. Next day, I go over that and then I start writing, because now I know the subject matter. I know what needs to go in, and then the writing becomes easier. So research is really, really important. Cool. So I think if you have any more questions, I do a monthly free Q&A. You will get emails about it in your inbox. So you can join that and ask me more questions. Very happy to answer those. And Fahim has already shared the link to the application for the next cohort. So if you really want personal mentorship from me, you can join the cohort, and I will see you in April in that. But it was nice seeing some of you turn on your videos, and I look forward to more interactions. Yeah. Thank you so much. And if you like the session, I would also say go to Google and review me. Thank you. Bye. Have a good weekend.